Bingo, live, Brian, TINYCRYPTOBLOG. How are you? So, I was watching a Preston Pish video or interview with James Check. And I think I mentioned this in the video I just released the other day where I was watching a video with him. TCFC, and this one he was on Preston Pish. And the focus was specifically Bitcoin treasuries. And he was talking about, and they were talking about like the metrics, the logic, the mechanics of how it works, the pros, the cons, the incentives, what the benefits are. And they kind of went, into a lot of fine points about Bitcoin treasuries. And then today, the thought passed my mind, which is why I made this video, that every cycle, every bull cycle, at least the ones that I've been a part of, there's been something that caught on, drew people's interest, and everyone aped into, or they pile into, because that's a human nature. A monkey see, monkey do, where they're trendy. In 2017, ICOs, initial coin offerings, where you, in most cases, you would send, oh God, back in the old days where you had to send your Ethereum to a contract, and then the smart contract would release the tokens to your Ethereum wallet. And I remember trying to do that for, what was Brock Pierce's one? I'm forgetting it, the name of it. But I was trying to do that, and good Lord, that was a very, it's almost like goes back to the Andreas Antonopoulos days when you talk about how sending an email in the early days, you'd have to go through all these steps and have technical knowledge. And today my mother just swipes. And it was like going back to those old days where you had to copy what you were typing, look at what you had to type and copy it over and make sure you sent it to the right contract and had everything ready. And, you didn't just send your Ethereum into the ether, no pun intended. But 2017 cycle, you had ICOs. And then the last cycle, the 21-22 cycle, it was all the DeFi tokens. Anything related to DeFi tokens, what was that? The algorithmic stable coins, anything related to yield farming, NFTs, all those things were the craze because it was something that just caught on with a novelty that was new. And for those reasons and any and all others more, that's what drew attention and interest and curiosity. And as a consequence, also, money followed suit. And it clicked in my head that the hype cycle for this bull is going to be Bitcoin treasuries. Companies announcing, we're adding Bitcoin to our spreadsheet. We're adding it as a balance sheet asset. In the last month and a half, 2 months, I have lost count of how many times I've seen some company announce that they're adding Bitcoin to their balance sheet. They're doing a Bitcoin, their own little strategic reserve. They're getting on a Bitcoin standard. And I think as we go into the hyperbolic phase, it'll pick up. Then when the bear smashes everyone in the face with an aluminum bat, you're going to see announcements of a lot of these companies that made announcements of jumping in. Yeah, they're going to start liquidating some of those assets, if not all those assets. There's going to be a lot of smart ones too that understand it and truly understand it in the level that Michael Saylor and the Microsoft executive team understands it. And they're going to see it like a lot of us do. Oh, Bitcoin's on sale. Let's get a little more. And they're just going to continue to accumulate. But we're going to hit a point where it's going to fall out of favor. You're going to have in the face of all this downward cycle, a wave of skepticism, I think on this side note, some of the downside skepticism is going to be tempered by the people who have big enough voices with enough people listening to say, yeah, this is all a part of it. So, Bitcoin's not dead. It hasn't died. It's not going to die. Boom. And then when the next cycle hits and people start getting that validation, oh, Bitcoin's not dead. Look, it's bottomed out at 110 in this bear cycle. Wink, wink. And we're going back up. That's when more companies are going to say, yep, we're sold. We had our first time around, but now we're sold. And that's how it works. The hype draws you in. You get your ass burned. And then when you get the validation that, oh, from the next bull cycle, then you're back in and you're locked in. And you're a part of the team. And yeah, I've seen it. That's how it happens. So then we'll see whatever the next cycle is. We'll see what the next hype is. Maybe it's tokenized assets. I don't know. But in this cycle, I think it's absolutely going to be Bitcoin treasuries. There might be something else in addition to it. And for all we know, we could have our black swan, like some legislation or some ruling or some regulation that absolutely kills that. But that's not the trend. That's not where it's going, and that's not what's happening. Therefore, it's going to be that. So keep an eye on it. Maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe I'll only be partially right. I don't know. I'm just going off what my gut and my inside tells me. So with that, thanks for tuning in. This short note. You can follow TINYCRYPTOBLOG in all the social media sites. Listen to the show notes. And with that, be well, everyone. Talk to you soon.